All right, welcome to the Faithful Five podcast, and it's a special treat for me to have today Brian Gail. Brian was certainly a mentor to me. Brian is an author. I know him as the CEO of FCB and various Fortune 500 companies, and probably most recently CEO of Gail Force and Chief Marketing Officer at Aramark. So Brian, thanks for joining me today.
Happy to do so, Tom.
Brian, you have quite a journey of your Catholic faith. Why don't you kick us off with a little quick background on yourself, your family, and what you're doing with yourself today?
Well, I was the oldest of four children, and it was a very strong Irish Catholic family. We were required to go to Mass and Communion in May and October every day. And then we would say the Rosary, I believe was every Sunday night, which I didn't much like. But nonetheless, we all had to do it. And my father, who had a bad back, even he had to do it. So my mother was first generation Irish, and her parents were born in Ireland, and she had two brothers who were priests. And the faith was a very deep within her, and that was really the most important thing in her life. And she made sure that it became the most important thing in our lives. And to this day, well, all four of us are in the sacraments by the grace of God and her example and insistence. Lost a brother a year ago this coming Christmas to a tragedy, but he was the best of us and a wonderful, wonderful man of faith.
Okay. And tell us, we'll jump right into it. Talk a little bit about role models from a faith standpoint. Who would you obviously just touched on your mom, but also from a professional or different vantage points, who was the most influential person in your faith journey?
Well, there were a couple. First, I would say my wife's father, Charlie Kane. He and his wife, Helene, had 15 pregnancies. 9 of the children made it out, and Joan was the third of the 9. And he was a Olympic oarsman. He was a fighter pilot in Second World War. He graduated Villanova first in his class in civil engineering at 19. He was active in conservative Republican politics. And the way he conducted himself and the way people, I think, responded to him and looked up to him and followed him. He became the head of Pennsylvania Society of Engineers at one point. So he was a leader of family and men, very successful guy, wonderful guy, but very unpretentious, very quiet, had very little to say. But when he said it, you understood what he was saying, and you came to realize it was pretty much on the mark.
Sounds like a tremendous man. So take it back maybe to your early days when we talk about men professionally or with their families or marriages. What do you think are some of the biggest obstacles for men today in terms of trying to live their faith?
Well, the culture is like a giant anaconda, and it has wrapped itself around us, our bodies, but I think also our souls, excuse me. And it is sucking the life out of our bodies and our souls. And it has come at a very unfortunate time. This is a time when the church is more needed than ever before. There are a lot of wonderful Catholic men and women doing things like you're doing, Tom, leading formation groups, leading different ministries and things like that. And they form a wonderful and wide remnant, but it is a remnant. I think post-COVID, there's only maybe 13-14% of registered Catholics. There's about 65 million of those in America go to church on Sunday. So we've fallen away. And in falling away, we've lost the lifeline to what really animates us, what is first among all the great privileges and gifts that the Creator has given us. And as a consequence, we don't really know how to speak about the faith. The culture's inimical to it. There's great and open and growing hostility to people of faith who are outspoken and very high profile in their Catholic faith and witness. And as a consequence, a lot of men without good, strong leadership have just fallen back and allowed the culture to take root in their hearts, in their souls, and ultimately in their families. And the family as an institution is in a free fall.
How about Brian? Obviously, you were in the advertising business for many, many years. What type of and it's not anything new that people are trying to, boost their careers, make more money, drive the nicest car, all the things that have been going on in society for years. But do you have any tips or thoughts for young men that are starting a family, young men that are, jumping the ladder in their career in terms of keeping grounded, for lack of a better term?
I kept a little index card on my desk that ordered the priorities. It was faith, family, career. And I always tried to be guided by that when I would have decisions in business. I saw business as a means to an end, though I was very competitive and ambitious and wanted to succeed. We had 7 children and left Philadelphia because I realized I wasn't going to be able to educate them all. I was not going to be able to do that, and I wanted to do that. So that's why, we ended up taking a position up in New York City with a large ad agency. But I was blessed to have dilemmas in my faith, and 3 great ones, where, and the first was home box office. And I had a choice. Either I was going to step up and speak out as I was instructed to do by a moral theologian as to the programming grid and model and how it was growing ever darker and the impact it was having on American families. I could see it in the data, hear it when I went around the country and listened to people talk about why they disconnected it. Or I was going to just go along with it, keep my mouth shut, so to speak, and allow nature to take its course and hope that I could continue to get promoted. But I was told that I had to speak out. And in speaking out, I got fired. And I don't know how, I think I was maybe 34, something like that. I ended up retiring at 58. Every blessing, every door that opened as a consequence of that decision. Looking back on it, I can't believe how subtle and yet discernible was the hand of providence providing for my family. One position after the next, each one with greater responsibility and accountability to employees. So just standing up, being for young men looking to build their careers, first and foremost, make God first in your life, in whatever form that takes. Hopefully, if you're Christian, in the Christian faith, if you're Catholic, we have the richest deposit of faith in the history of mankind. There's just an endless number of riches for all of us. And the family as an outgrowth of that great faith. That's where you bring love into the family and treat each child with unconditional love. once you have your priorities in order, uh, you can pursue your career, and you will find that if your priorities are in order, and if you work hard, and if you keep your eyes open, and if you learn, and if you surround yourself or are attracted to good people who are succeeding, you yourself will get blessed, and you won't have to worry about providing for your family. Once you see you're getting blessed, be very generous with your time, and if means permit, with your treasure. Give back. There's just so many worthy causes, so many people that are in need, and we have an obligation, an accountability to share what we were given. We'll have to give an account for how we handle what we're given.
Right.
I would say the most important tip I could offer, Tom, would be set your priorities and don't swerve from it. Stay true to them. When I was running a Foot Cone, we were trying to get a bank. We were looking for new business. I had just taken over. It was very difficult. I was looking at layoffs. I didn't want to lay anybody off. I was doing anything and everything I could. We wanted to get a bank in the city of Philadelphia, and I think it was First Pennsylvania. I could be wrong on that, but we got a call one day from the top advertising guy asking if I would take on with the company a pro bono assignment. And if I did and did well with it, he would give us a piece of their portfolio, whether it be retail or commercial or trust or whatever. And I just blurted out, I said, done, we'll do it. Who is it? Who do I meet with? When can that happen? And he said, well, it's a little, you probably haven't heard of it, but it's a little company called Women's Way. And he gave me the address. And I knew of Women's Way because I had been arrested about 2 or 3 months prior to that for a pro-life witness in front of Women's Way. And I just gulped. I couldn't believe that this would happen again. It was following me in my career, but I knew from experience that if I did the right things, if I stayed with the priorities that I was given, that there would be a blessing. So I ended up hanging up the phone, bringing Peter Keenan in, our CFO. He also was a father of 7. And I told him about the deal. And I said, if I, in any way, if I say no to this, word will go out on the street across the city and beyond within an hour. I had been told that anyway, that I was turning down business because of my Catholic faith. And that would be, we had a couple hundred employees, whatever it was, that would be, especially if we had to have layoffs. So Peter is a strong man of faith too. And he just looked at me, waited till I finished, and he looked at me and he said, screw him. So long story, a little shorter, I ended up picking up the phone and calling back, and I tried to explain that I just couldn't do that. We couldn't do that. And he said, but I'm Catholic too. And I said, I'm sure you are, and I'm not here to judge your witness and practice of your faith. I'm not. That's the last thing I want to do. I just want to tell you, the agency probably would be happy to do this, but at this particular time, I happen to be the guy in this chair, and I can't do it. I just can't do it for these reasons. But sure enough, within about, I don't know, maybe 90 days, 100 days, something like that, we ended up with about 3 or 4 new accounts that allowed us to stay whole and grow from there. So every time there was a need for a witness, and with the help of others, always with the help of others, not myself, just, looking and leaning on others. If the right decision was made, it always got blessed.
What a testimony. So faith family, career, any other, we'll wrap things up. How do you, and how would you say to, again, younger man on his faith journey, how do you feed to keep you focused on faith, family? How do you feed yourself spiritually?
The first thing I can recommend is develop or rekindle a devotion to the Blessed Mother. She will take you deeper into the mystery of the Sacred Heart of Jesus than anyone else could. She is St. Maximilian Kolbe famously said, she's the quasi-incarnation of the Holy Spirit, because the word spouse doesn't fully capture the relationship. So read, pray, understand the role of the Blessed Mother in salvation history and in the incarnation, obviously, and some of the things that she's had to say to the men in the age at Fatima and places like that. And then follow the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, which will lead you to the Eucharist. I can't stress enough how a daily Mass, for instance, is an enormously beneficial way to start the day. And adoration, if you're able to do that. I wasn't able to do it when I was working, but when I retired, I was able to start doing it. But I always made it a point of getting to a Mass. Sometime it was a noon Mass because I had early meetings or something like that. But I always did everything I could in New York and Philadelphia, wherever I was. If I was overseas, I always had in the itinerary the churches, nearby churches. And that just helped keep me on track. I needed a lot of help. And I knew that if I did that, that I could count on the help that I need. Whatever it was that I needed, I knew no matter how dark it looked or how improbable, I just believed, I trusted that there would be a blessing. And I was just uniquely blessed to be married to a saint. In fact, she died after a lot of suffering on All Saints' Day, coming up Friday. And she was just an extraordinary life partner, raised 7 children and 10 grandchildren, and was the best advisor, the best friend, really the best gift, God's greatest gift to me. So I needed a lot of help, and I could see I needed a lot of help, but I was given a lot of help.
Yeah. And the idea that you can I know we're going to wrap it up, but you were able to surrender and realize that you couldn't do it on your own and you needed help.
That's it. That's it. That's when somebody once said that God does have a weakness. It's not well known, but he does. And it's the sight of a man on his knees.
I've never
Spent a lot of time.
heard that one.
Spent a lot of time on my knees, and I know you have too, Tom.
Wow. Brian, Gail, thank you so much for joining us today and for your unbelievable witness. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tom, for asking me. All the best.
Right.
Down the road somewhere.